Guess who hates marshmallows and is super behind on monthly book wrap-ups? This girl! Yeah, I'm super behind on my monthly wrap-ups for books. I don't quite know how this happened, but I was gonna make a video combining my November and October wrap-up books, and then it just like December flew by, so I was like, why not just combine all three into one giant end-of-the-year book wrap-up? So without further ado, here are the books I read in October, November, and December. So the first book I read in October was Hunted by Megan Spooner, and this is a book that comes out this year in 2017, and it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, which is really the perfect time for it because we know the Emma Watson movie is coming out in March as well. I feel like we've had so many Beauty and the Beast retellings that they're really nothing new when you read them. One thing that I did appreciate about this one was that the Beast was actually a beast. He's not just like a handsome man who has like one scar on his face or has to wear a mask that covers his face or something like that. So this one did fall more in line with Beauty and the Beast. I feel like it also had some other traditions to it. I didn't end up loving it, but it was entertaining, I think, and I would definitely be interested to read more in that world. It just wasn't my favorite, and I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. After that, I read The Hammer of Thor, which is the second book in the Magnus Chase series by Rick Riordan. I absolutely love this book, guys. I feel like it had been a little bit since I had read the first book, so it took me a bit to get back into the world, but definitely did awesome in reintroducing the characters and setting up a new storyline, and we got such an awesome introduction to the character of Alex, who is an amazing, amazing gender, non-binary, transgender character that I have never ever seen a character like that before in literature for children especially, so it was really, really cool to see that. And I love the kind of will they, won't they romance that Alex has with Magnus, because it's very like innocent, I feel like, but also very cute, and it reminds me a lot of Annabeth and Percy and how they kind of hated each other at first, but like not in a mean way, just like they found each other to be incredibly stubborn and annoying at times, and I really, really liked it, and I'm so excited to see how this series is going to wrap up in the final book in the fall. I think there's only 3 books in the series, right? But anyway, I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. After that, I read By Your Side by Cassie West, or Casey, I don't know exactly what it is. This one comes out this month, actually, but I read it previously in October, and this is about a girl who, for the beginning of the book, she gets trapped in a library over the weekend with this random boy from school. Thought I would like this one, I feel like, more than I did, because, I mean, it's about anxiety, which I'm always up for a good story about anxiety and dealing with it, and it's about a girl who loves books and is trapped in a library. I mean, like, hello, if I had to get trapped somewhere, a library would probably be like second pick to a bookstore or a rundown cotton candy factory. I feel like it was just very simple is the word I would describe. It was a lot of dialogue, not a lot of like action. Like literally there were just scenes where it was like dialogue, 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 like no action. That was just like the whole page. So I think it was good, and I think I would like it had I not read more books about anxiety recently, like Nowhere But Here, Finding Audrey, that really took the idea and ran with it, as opposed to just kind of putting it in simply like this. But I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5 stars. After that, I read another book that comes out this month, and that is Frost Blood by Ellie Blake, and this is a new series about a war going on between Frostbloods and Firebloods. Our main character is a Fireblood who gets kidnapped by the Frostbloods and taken and is going to be put into this arena where she has to fight to the death until she is rescued by some rebels and told about this prophecy that a Fireblood must defeat this Frostblood king. Sorry, blood is very hard for me to say for some reason, but it's really interesting. I think that it was a good debut by an author, but I think I would want to see it be a little more strong and have the character develop a little more in the next book, particularly the main character. I feel like needs some more development. The OTP was really cute in this though, guys. The couple I really, really liked, but I am scared with the note that the couple left up on, if that makes sense, like going into the next 2, if it's going to be a love triangle or if they're going to get in a fight or something like that. So I ended up giving this one 3 out of 5 stars. After that, I read 100 Hours by Rachel Vincent, and I absolutely love this book, guys. It comes out in March, and you definitely need to check it out when it comes out. It is about these 2 girls who are cousins, and they're both from super rich families, and they're on vacation. I believe it's in Colombia. Yeah, it is Colombia. And they are kidnapped and held hostage in Colombia to try and get ransom from their parents. And it alternates between the 2 girls' point of views. They're cousins. One is really headstrong and really confident. The other one is kind of more book shy and just doesn't really want to be involved in, you know, all the partying and all that. So the story is about their 2 separate journeys and trying to survive this ordeal and free their cousins and their friends and their family and get out and survive. And it was so good. So girl power entitlement, because like they just rocked it. They didn't need help from men, you know. They were like, the men honestly got in their way more than they actually helped them, and it read just like an action movie. It is going to be a series, which I feel like, reading the premise, it definitely doesn't. It could have been wrapped up in 1 book, but I love the characters so much that I will definitely be checking out book 2 and hoping it is just as good and just as grand, because This book was awesome, guys. 5 out of 5 stars from me, and you definitely need to check it out when it comes out in March. And then in November, the first book I read was Rebel Spring by Morgan Rhodes, which is the second book in the Falling Kingdom series. Now, this series is one I've been wanting to finish for a while. I read Falling Kingdoms like way back when it first came out, and I've just been hearing such great things about it, so I was a bit disappointed when I read it and just found it kind of generic. Like, I don't know, everyone seemed to make it seem like it was like Game of Thrones but YA version, and reading it, it really didn't. It had a lot of cliche fantasy tropes, I feel like, and just a lot of cliche like love triangles, everyone's kissing everyone for some reason because, you know, even though there's a war going on, we can't keep our hormones in check, and there were names that were completely unpronounceable. So I am definitely going to continue on with this series because there's definitely good aspects of it, but for me, the only two characters that I really enjoy right now are Magnus and Cleo, and there definitely was not enough of their point of view in this book to satisfy me because it was just like the rest of the characters. I was just like, let's get on with this. So I ended up giving this 4 out of 5 stars. After that, I finally read Everything by Nicole Yoon, which is a book I have been wanting to check out for so long, and now that's going to be a movie in 2017, I really wanted to check it out before the movie. This book was so cute, guys. Like, I am surprised. I know people love it, but it still was like one of those ones I feel like flies under the radar, that it was just like really big when it came out and then no one really talks about that much anymore, but it was so cute. I think it had great messages about finding yourself and your independence. It's going to be such an awesome movie. I feel like I really loved it, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. After that, the book that took up most of my November was this baby, Gemena by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, which is the sequel to Illumini, the second book, the penultimate book actually in the series. This was all new characters from Illumini. There were some familiar faces, but the main 2 were new. I don't know how I feel about this one, guys. I go back and forth a lot because, like, on one hand, I like the feel of it, that it was very, like, guerrilla warfare, like us against the big guys that we should not be able to defeat, but on the other hand, the character development in this one, I feel like what I loved about Illumini was set up, how, like, it wasn't really told in story, you know, how it's all this kind of stuff. But I feel like that kind of hindered this book for me because with these new characters, I just didn't feel the connection I did with Ezra and Katie that I did in the first book. So I don't know, guys. I liked it, but again, it wasn't great, so I ended up giving it 3.5 out of 5 stars. And then last up in November, I read Scrappy Little Nobody by Anna Kendrick, which is her memoir. I really like this. I'm not a huge memoir person, and I find myself often flipping through certain parts, and this definitely happened. I mean, it's super short, so it's not like it was overly drawn, and I feel like it kind of needed more of a direct plot, I guess, because like she would just skip around from different ages and different times, and it was a bit confusing to follow, but I definitely really liked it. And if you like Anna Kendrick, I think you should definitely check this out. This is definitely like good for fans of like Amy Poehler's memoir. You just have to remember that she's a lot younger than like Amy Poehler and Tina Fey. Well, not a lot younger, but you know, she's not a kid, she's not married or anything like that. So I feel like if you're expecting like a huge life, no. If you're expecting like, if you're like my age and you're really confused about, you know, like adulthood and like entering it and all that, like that awkward period of like 18 to 26 where you're like, what the frick do I do now? I think you'll definitely be able to relate to this, and I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. In December, I only read 2 books because I just crapped out, honestly, guys. And those 2 books were the first in the Lemony Snicket series of Unfortunate Events. I'm trying to get through the series now that the television show is coming out in January. I'm really excited to check it out, and I think the TV show is going to be based on the first 4 books, so I want to definitely get those down before the series comes out. I've got less than a week, so I mean, they're not long books, but yeah, I read the first 2, The Bad Beginning and The Reptile Room. I really like these, guys. There's such like a new thing I'm discovering about these, because I read some of them when I was a child, but you miss so much of like the little intricacies of like how this was really telling a bigger story, and how this was about, yeah, like child abuse and kind of just like when adults aren't helpful and they refuse to help and they hide behind like, oh, we can't do that because it's not right or it's not the law, and they refuse to listen to kids. It's really great, guys, and it just made me even more excited for the show. I know people don't like the movie, but I was actually a pretty big fan of the movie. I think it was cute, you know? Like, it wasn't great, but it was definitely, like, entertaining. So I'm really excited to see the show, and these 2 books got me so excited, and I gave them both 5 out of 5 stars for a total of 10 out of 10 stars. So there you have it. Those are all the books I read in November, December, and October. I don't know why I did that out of order, but anyway, please feel free to leave any of the books you read down below in those months in the comments, and also if you read any of these books any time of the month, any, you know, whatever. Also, leave what you thought of them down below. Also, make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel down below to be told to make all sorts of new videos, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!